All right, so this little chart's just going to kind of put these two together. Oh, goodness. So this is going on 136 when we're done. So in this first box here, we're going to draw what each one of these little situations looks like. So if what you're given is two angles in the non-included side, so we'll just draw a triangle that looks like whatever. That means I would have this angle and maybe this angle. And then either one of these sides, but not this one, right? Let me actually do those things in a different color. Show up a little bit better. So this angle, and then this side would be the included side. This is the non-included side, so it would be one of these two, and it really doesn't matter which one, so I'm just going to pick that one. So if you have two angles and the non-included side, are you going to use law of sines or law of cosines for that? Sines, good, because they're the ones that you have this opposite here. You can take care of that, and then you can find that side there. So this right here is going to be law of sines. And then what you're going to be able to find using the law of sines is the other two sides. How do you find the angle? The third angle that you don't know. Yeah, add them, yeah. So find angle with the triangle sum theorem. I mean, I guess you could use law of something to find it, but that's not necessary, right? Don't make it harder than it has to be. Alrighty, so then if we have angle side angle, that means we have two angles, and this time it's the included side. So if I have angle side angle, what are we using for that? Law of sines? That one's still law of sines. Anytime you're given the two angles are given to you, that's law of sines. So this is law of sines as well. And you're going to find that, you're going to use that to find the other two sides. And you find the angle with the triangle sum theorem. Okay, so they kind of act the same way. You just got to find the angle first. All right, what about SSA? Is that law of sines or law of cosines? It's still the law of sines, and it has another name that goes with it. It's the what case? Ambiguous. This is the ambiguous case. And law of sines is the only one that's going to give you a possibility of more than one triangle. Okay? But this is two sides. There's two sides. And the non-included angle. So it's not this. This would be side angle side. I used the wrong color here. This would be side angle side. So it's one of these two angles, and it doesn't matter which one. So we'll use that one. And again, this is law of sines. So if you're given two angles and a side, regardless of the order of them up here, it's law of sines. And then the ambiguous case is law of sines. So we use this to find, first of all, the angle opposite a given side. And then how many triangles could we get? We could get two, or one, or none, okay? So we could get 0, 1, or 2 triangles. Okay. So you find the angle opposite the given side, and then the third side. And then how do you find the third angle? Yeah, third angle with triangle sum theorem. So when you draw your picture, because today you're going to have a mix, law of sine and law of cosines, and it's not that it makes it that much crazy harder, but if you're given any of the other ones besides side angle, you know your possibility is one triangle, possibly none, if you get like this a sine or cosine of an angle to be greater than or greater than 1 or less than -1. But if you have the side angle situation, like as soon as you label it, when you recognize that, put a little star by it or something to remind yourself that you're going to have to check things, okay? And check to make sure that you're not going to get too, it'll be obvious if you get 0, but you have to remember to check to see if you're going to get more than one answer there. All right, so side, angle side, looks like this. 2 sides, and this included angle, just like the order of the letters, just like that. So is that law of sines or law of cosines? Cosines. So, law of cosines. And that we're going to use the law of cosines to find the third side. Second angle. And then the third angle with the triangle sum theorem again. Ooh. Right. Triangle sum theorem. So side. That one's pretty obvious, right? All 3 sides. Is that law of sines or law of cosines? Cosines. So this is law of cosines again. And we use that to find what? All the angles, right? Which angle should you try and find first? Largest, okay? So find the largest angle first. Do you absolutely positively have to? No. But if you don't, then you can't switch to law of cosines. If you're going to, law of sines. If you're going to use law of cosines the whole time, it's fine. It's better just to kind of get in that habit. And then you also use it to find the second angle and then third angle with triangle sum theorem. Could I find the third angle with the law of cosines? Yes. On any of these, you can still use those laws, but again, why the heck would you want to, right? So for these two, okay, remember you can switch to law of sines after what? Finding largest angle. We've written that a few times. Hopefully if we keep writing it, you'll do it the right way. You could get lucky. Like if you don't wait until you get the largest, you could get lucky and still get the right answer, but sometimes it's not gonna work out for you every single time. Sometimes is it given to you and you don't even have to find it? Yeah, sometimes you can recognize it. And how do you know it's the largest angle if you don't have all of them? Across from the largest side, okay? Which means you have to know all 3 sides. If you don't know all 3 sides, then you don't know which one's the longest, right? And of course, if you have an obtuse angle, then it's got to be the biggest one and you're good. Okay, any questions? Okay, so that kind of sums it up for you. You can go ahead and glue that in. There is room at the top up here, so if you feel like this chart is going to be something that you're going to use, then up at the top where you have that extra room, you might want to actually write the law of sines and cosines, so it's kind of all in one place for you. You don't have to, but that's up to you if you're going to use it and make it useful for you. Oops.